Hey guys, it's Sara Oehler from Softflix Company here again. I'm going to share some really fun things with you today. Most importantly, my good friend Nealay Patel. Ooh, and there goes my new tripod. But most importantly, Nealay Patel's new book. Let's see. Jewelry made for wire and fiber. I'm actually going to have to hold on to this thing because it is not holding flat. So that's the fun of brand new technology. You never know exactly what is going to happen. Okay, there we go. I think we kind of got it worked out, hopefully. So at any rate, we're going to go over Nealay's brand new book today, and we're going to talk about some great Softflix products that he used in the book, and then we're going to play around with some of the fiber cords that he sent to me, and I've actually never used these before, so I'm really excited to give them a try and see what we can do with them. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and start flipping things around so that you guys can take a look at the book with me, and we'll kind of get started there. Yeah, so just give me a minute and here we go. Let me flip everything. So before I flip this camera, I have to show you guys one of the best things about working from home is that I sometimes get to see my littles outside, and it's actually like a 90 degree day here in Phoenix. So they're out in their little play pool out there, which is nice for me because that means it should be nice and quiet in here. So I'm going to flip you guys down here. And for those of you at the beginning, you got a show. My whole tripod fell apart, so I don't think many were here, but the people that watch it on replay can see my technology difficulties. Okay, so let's slide you down just a little bit. Thanks, guys. They are cute. They're at really fun ages. Evelyn is going to be 3 in August. So she is a hoot, and I'm just going to lock this in so I don't knock it around. Okay, and then my littlest is a little over a year now. She was a year in January, so they're a lot of fun. Hey, Cindy from Georgia. Okay, so today's show is all about this brand new book from my good friend Nealay Patel. He is the cutest and the sweetest. I adore him. He might be jumping in here at some point, hopefully, so he can join us too. But Nealay is just really a doll. But most importantly, and what's applicable for this live show, is he is an exceptional jewelry designer. He puts products together that I couldn't imagine pairing, and usually does it in a way that just is always surprising for me. And he's also just a really great person too. I've gotten to know him over the years, and he's kind and generous and thoughtful, you know, and just everything you could really want in a good friend. So I've been very lucky to have his friendship. So I am going to be gushing a little bit over him because I do love him so much. So you're going to have to bear with me. So this is Nealay's latest book. Nealay has 2 other books. This was his first book. It's called Jewelry for the New Romantic, and it has a lot of our Softflix beading wire that's sort of interwoven with really neat seed bead techniques. This is a pretty awesome book. It is available through our website, softflixcompany.com. You can still purchase this book through us. But there's a lot of really very vintage romantic looking jewelry in this book. And a lot of it uses our Softflix beading wire. So it's a really cool book. His second book, and it was published by Kalmbach, which is the same publishing company that does Bead and Button magazine. This is his second book, Jewelry Designed with Knitted Wire, and this one encompasses more of the knitted wire from Silver Silk. So it has like a lot of different cool projects, and he did use soft flex in a few. I didn't, let's see which ones, if I can find one in here just by flipping. This one has our, it looks like our chrysoprase, no, our fluorite beading wire, and then he used the Silver Silk at the bottom. There's probably like 5 or 6 projects that incorporate soft flex wire, and then he of course uses craft wire in this one too, and he uses our craft wire when he's using craft wire. So that has some more products. So this is his third book. That too, Jewelry Designs with Knitted Wire, was published by Kalmbach. So this latest book is self-published, and I said this in a video review last week, but I think it's actually the prettiest of his 3 books, and part of the reason why I think that's true is because he's not only a jewelry designer, he's a graphic designer. So he actually got to, you know, pick the parts and pieces, make the jewelry, and then lay it out with his own photos the way that he wanted it to look. And so you can kind of get an idea of some of the projects that are in here. Really colorful, really beautiful. Most of them do use these really cool fiber cords, and then it marries it with some form of wire. He used our Softflex craft wire in a lot of the projects, which looks like this, which is a copper-based wire with a color coating, and it comes in lots of different colors and gauges. And we'll kind of get into that some more later on. So I am going to put my hair back into a ponytail, and we are going to get going here. I need to share with you, once my hair is in a ponytail, I need to share with you that this book is available for pre-order right now. We're going to ship the first week of May. We're just kind of getting a combined order of anybody that wants it so that we get the right quantity on hand. And then we'll have it available in our regular everyday stock. But what's nice right now, if you do pre-order, is you're going to get $2 off of that retail price. And it'll go to full price once we get it in stock in May. And anywhere else you try to get it right now, it's at full price. So it's kind of a nice little deal if you're willing to wait. And we're also doing that free shipping when your orders are over $50. So you have that as an option too if you want to throw in some other things along with it. So Nealay Patel, you can locate him at www.nealay, and that's NealayPatel.com. And he also does a live show. He just started it. It's called Beads and Bubbles. And his next episode is on April 26th at 7 p.m. and it features Softflex beading wire. So he's going to be using our wire in some really fun and unusual ways. That'll be sort of like this first book, The New Romantic. It's going to be more similar to these kinds of designs. So you can search for Beads and Bubbles on Facebook and also Nealay Patel, and both of those Facebook pages you should definitely click to like. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the stuff that Nealay has used in this book to make his projects. Let me make sure I've covered everything just to give you an idea of like what a project looks like. You're going to get an opening page with the materials list, information. You're going to get a beautiful picture of the design. And then he actually did step-by-step photos and instructions for each design. So that gives you, some really detailed instructions. And then you're also going to find at the very beginning a nice comprehensive tool guide that'll sort of guide you through the tools you're using. You can see he used our Softflex Professional tools, which I'll probably talk a little bit more about today. And then a materials guide. And I actually, this is actually the Softflex craft wire that he used here, but he used lots of other materials too, like silver silk and head pins and chain, and then of course that beautiful fiber cord that comes in lots of different colors. And then he has a fantastic techniques guide too that sort of takes you through all the steps. There are 15 projects in the book and a total of 72 pages. And like I said, it's all really easy to follow, step-by-step instructions and pictures. And I do see, let's see, who do we have here? Hey, Nealay. Nealay's here. He says, hey, Sarah, I'm thrilled you're showing my new book. I am, Nealay, and it is fantastic. So if you guys have any questions for Nealay, this would be a great time to check it out. Let's see. Mercedes says, is that Brenda Schweter's jewelry now? That's a jig. Yes, Nealay did use Brenda's jig in this book. So there are definitely some components made using her jig, which is shown right here. Good question, Mercedes. If anybody else has any questions, if I don't catch them during the show, I always go back and answer them after. So don't feel bummed out if you don't get your question answered, but do ask because I'll come back to it. So this is the fiber cord that Nealay sent me. I have never used this product before, anything like it before. So I'm really excited to give it a try. And I pulled out some of my Softflex craft wire in a bunch of different colors. Speaking of, Nealay says, thanks so much. Softflex craft wire was the perfect wire to make the designs. Well, thank you, Nealay. We really love our craft wire, and we don't spend a lot of time talking about it like we do our beading wire, but it is a huge part of our business. It's manufactured here in the USA. It's a high quality, permanently colored copper wire that's resistant to scratching, peeling, and marring. That's due to a special enameling process that we use to coat the wire, and that allows us to produce a wide spectrum of different colors. So it comes in gauges 18 gauge to 28 gauge, which is our thinnest. I noticed most of the projects in Nealay's book used anywhere from 22 to 20 to 18 gauge. So I kind of just pulled out some 20 gauge to kind of just play around with it. I haven't given it a lot of thought as to what it is that we'll be doing, but we'll just sort of make it work and see what happens. I also pulled out some Softflex. Nealay didn't use any Softflex in his book, but I was kind of curious about how, if the Softflex would like poke through it. I don't even know if the craft wire will. So I just sort of wanted to kind of think about that a little bit too and see if there are some ways that those two products could possibly work together, especially it being so colorful. That just really, that really works well with our Softflex beading wire as well. So a couple more points about our craft wire. It's non-tarnishing, it's hypoallergenic, and yeah, so let's take a look. I'm usually drawn to these less colorful pieces like this. This would be something that I would probably make for myself, but I'm going to challenge myself to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to pull out this one and maybe this one, and we'll just sort of play around and just kind of see what happens. Nealay also was kind enough to send me some of these ends because he knew I wasn't gonna have the right components for it, but I did pull some out. I had some from Sonoran Beads for their silver silk that I thought, oh, those might work for this type of material as well. So I did have a couple of my own that I yanked out to see what would happen. Nealay says most of the projects are around 18 gauge. It was very sturdy to make the shapes I wanted, especially on the Now That's a Jig. Awesome. Yeah, I've not gotten to use the jig, that particular jig before, but I really like watching Brenda Schweter. I think that's the right pronunciation. I hope that's the right pronunciation. I really enjoy watching her videos. I don't always get to watch them, but I have watched a few. So if you love live videos about jewelry making, you should head over to her page and like, and, you know, try to get her notifications and see yeah, see if you can watch those. So the first thing I want to do is I'm just going to try to poke through with the Softlex and see if that works, because I'm just so curious. I have a feeling it's not going to, but I just was really curious to think about it. And then I was also thinking, like, could I like poke a hole in here? And then can I go through it? Oh, I think I can. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys have a hole punch. I think we might have one on our website. We used to. We may have closed it out. I'm not sure. But I just used this hole punch, and you can actually punch a hole through the fiber, and then you can come out with the Softlex. So for example, I think I'll make like a bunch of jump rings here in the center, kind of see what that's like coming out of this fiber cord. So I don't know if I'm in the center. Let's see. Let's see. Nealay says if you have a beading awl, that you can use a beading awl as well. Did you poke through it using a beading awl for some of your projects, Nealay? Okay. Grab out some crimps for us to use. And let's make a couple rings and just kind of see how that looks. I'm going to use my Softlex cutters. These are the same cutters that Nealay uses on his day-to-day designing as well. It is a flush cutter. They're made here in the US as well. They're high quality, good professional tools. Rochelle says, I do have hole punches, 2 sizes, 2 shapes. What a great idea. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that until I was sitting here trying this. You guys know how I am. I'm on the fly all the time. I have never made so much jewelry in my life as I have in this last year doing these live videos, and then, you know, Kristen and I are in the middle of writing a book, which we did finally release the name. We named it Seed Bead Revolution, and we're really excited about it. We took all the pictures last week. And it's basically pairing our Softlex beading wire with some of the 2-hole or oddly shaped seed beads that have come out on the market. So it's pretty exciting for us. So at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and crimp this using magical crimpers. And I'm just going to make a couple of these just to kind of see how they lay out on this cording. If you haven't seen me use the magical crimpers before, we have like 5,000 videos on YouTube. Just search for Softlex Company and magical crimpers, and you will find lots of videos on how to use these. They're fantastic. If you don't have a pair, I use them all the time, and I used them exclusively in Seed Bead Revolution. I didn't even use the other pair. I do use the others still sometimes. I like crimp covers, and you know, like I like that larger look sometimes, but I use these magicals most of the time. Thanks, Rochelle. Rochelle says, oh, I like the name Seed Bead Revolution. I do too. I think it's going to be really cool. Okay, so I'm thinking kind of like a choker, but I'm trying to think if this is a shape that's going to make sense. If I want to try something else. If I want to poke through twice, like what would it be like if I were to poke through here and then poke through here just above it and cut off just another piece of this and try a different shape just to see what that looks like. So put our Softlex wire through, and we can totally do this with the craft wire too, which is kind of cool. I'm excited to give that a go. Okay, so I want it to be kind of even on both ends, and then I'm going to actually go back through on this side. We're going through there, and then we could do a bead down here at the bottom, which would be kind of cool. Let me see if I've got a good bead that I can add on there. What are we looking at? Like maybe some dark blue or clear crystals could be cool. Where am I going to set all this stuff? Okay. So I'm going to jump into my bead trays here and see if I can find just something to add something else. Another element to this design. Let's try, I have these really cool, I don't know if it'll go through that twice, but let's see if it will. I have these cool, let's see, it is kind of a big hole. I have these are sapphires, rough cut sapphires from Soft Wax. Oh, it's just not quite big enough to go through there twice. It will a crystal. I just wanted to see what that would be like. Let's try some of these guys and see what this is like if we add colors. Kristen says, loving the colors of the fiber cord. Yeah, I know, Kristen, I agree. They're really colorful. I'm thinking like something like that could be kind of cool. And then let's see if we can crimp. Sometimes you just gotta play around with the shapes and like see what's calling your name here. Okay. I like that better. I think that's going to hang better as like a choker too. So let's cut this off. And we don't want to do them too close together because they're going to bump into each other. So maybe a little further over. Let's see, where did my hole punch go? I'm going to punch like right here. And up here. Go. And we'll do a couple more and just see how it builds out and if we think it looks cool or lame or what's going on here. Let's see, Rochelle says she likes it. Good, Rochelle. We have one vote for yes. Yeah, it's kind of fun because Nealay did use so much craft wire in his book. It's kind of fun to use something a little different for this project. So let's take that. And we could do different colors of wire too if we wanted to. I'm using a 2x2 crimp tube. They're Softlex crimp tubes, so they're very strong. And I'm just going to pull this up here to the top. Straighten those wires the best I can. And I want it to be about the same distance as the other one. And again, if you haven't seen these magical crimpers, you can find those on our website for sale, but you can also find lots of videos and things. Yeah, so I think this could be really cool. I'm going to keep playing with this after the live show and do, you know, a few more and then put a closure end on it that makes sense, probably like one of these guys. I haven't done this before, but what I assume you do is you stick, you know, the glue on the fiber cord, and then you stick it inside this guy, and then you just use a chain nose plier and close it down over the top. So let's take it out just so you can get a good idea of what it looks like, just in case you've never seen one before. There we go. So it has sort of like a little opening. You stick your fiber cord inside with the glue and then squeeze it down with a pair of chain nose pliers. Okay. and the ones that I have are from Sonoran Beads. It's a plated pewter end cap, and they call it a double. Yeah, okay. So I don't know their website. Maybe Nealay, if he's still here, he can go ahead and post it. Hey Anya, how are you? Anya's visiting us from Germany. She watches pretty regularly. We have a lot of international viewers now, which is really awesome. So again, I'm looking at jewelry made with wire fiber. You can pre-order this on our website, softluxcompany.com. And I'm playing around with some of the materials that Nealay used in the book with some of our other products, just to see how they will interact with each other. So this latest one that we just did was with our Softlux beading wire in the citrine color in the medium. But now I think we're going to try something with craft wire. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this later, and I will send you guys a picture so you can kind of see what it looks like. And I'm not sure if it's showing up really well on that background. Maybe you can see it a little bit better here. But I'll probably do several down the line and make it somewhat of a choker. See, Rochelle says it looks like you could use them on leather cord too. I think the address is sonoranbeads.com. Thank you. I think that is the address. I think they're located here in the Phoenix area where I live. But I think they do mostly mail order and stuff. So, okay, so let's set this aside and we will come back. I will come back to that later after the show, and we'll see where that goes. And we picked out this piece here for the craft wire. So let me think about, I really wanted to use the wubbers today. So those are these guys here. Do any of you guys have wubbers pliers out there? They're pretty amazing. These are the 4 that Softlux Company sells, but they have a lot of different types of pliers. We sell the bail making pliers in 2 different sizes, which if you get both pairs, you actually have 4 sizes because each part of the plier is a different circumference. So you get a lot of different variety just even with 1 pair, but if you get 2, you've got a lot of options. And then they have this cool triangle pair, which will make triangle shapes in 2 different sizes, and a square. So you can make squares in 2 different sizes. So I was going to kind of take a look at these with the craft wire and see if there are maybe some sort of neat shapes we can make and then attach onto the fiber cord. This is sort of a bracelet size though, and I'm definitely thinking of more of a necklace. So I think I might grab this piece out and do something sort of similar where we punch the hole and then sort of add a shape. So I have all 20 gauge craft wire here. I did see Nealay commented that he likes using the 18 gauge because it's so thick and so sturdy. So it's a great option too. But 20 or 22 gauge are pretty good, pretty sturdy as well. And I forgot to get my wire whacker out, so I'm going to have to go grab that as well here in a minute. So of course I've had these spools for a million years, so the labels are a little worn down, but that's just from good use. So this particular one here is a copper center, but then it's plated in silver, and then it has the coating, the clear coating over the top of it that makes it hypoallergenic and non-tarnishing. And it is a really nice, beautiful, bright silver. So let's start with that one. And I'm going to use my nylon jaw pliers first because you can see there's like sort of a little bit of a kinkiness here. These guys run over the top of the wire and they straighten the wire out. And, oh, like that. And they also start the work hardening process because this wire starts off really soft and malleable. And eventually we want it to be a little bit harder and capable of holding a shape. So that kind of starts off that process for us. Okay, so again, let's find the middle of this, and I'm just going to poke a hole using my pliers again in the center. But think about how, you know, Softflex doesn't sell this fiber cord, but think about how much you can do with it. When you think about being able to poke a hole, like some of the designs in Nealay's book, he's actually taken the cord and folded it over and sort of stitched it together with the wire to make really cool, neat shapes. So I thought that was a really smart use of it, but there's lots of different things that you can do with this neat cording. Yeah, so let's start off by just making some simple jump rings. I think I'm going to make them using, this size is probably too small. I think I'm going to make them using the smaller on this larger of the two Wubbers pliers that I have. Cheryl says, love watching and getting new ideas. Perfect, Cheryl. That's what I love to hear, is that you're getting new ideas. I'm going to use the flat flush side of my cutters just to snip off the end of my wire so it's nice and straight. When I cut the other way, it cuts sort of like a, oh, what's it called? Like it's a non-flush cut. It's sort of sideways. So if you use the flat flush side, you're going to get a nice flat cut. And then I'm just going to go ahead and turn these and make some simple jump rings, and we'll use those to connect onto the fiber cord. And I don't know how many I need, and I'm sure you could do it in a more efficient manner, but this will work for me. I'm just going to cut that off, and then I'll just cut down I'm not a big jump ring maker, but they are useful when I do make them. So I'm just going to go back over it, and I'm going to cut flush on the side that was sort of beveled. This side. So that the two ends will meet together nicely and give me a good connection. And then one other thing is I want to get my wire whacker out because I want to show you guys how that works. So let me dig my way in here. You guys would not believe how many projects I have going on in this office. It's really a blessing I can find anything. Really, so many things going on in here. Okay, so when you make something with wire, like I said, it starts out soft and you want to work harden it to its desired shape. So one quick, easy way of doing that is to put it on this wonderful thing called a wire whacker. So I'm going to close up these guys. And we can open them again. I'm just going to get them nice and hardened before I actually put them onto this fiber cord. So this is going to be loud. It's probably going to knock over my tripod or something, but just hang in there. I'm going to smack this. This is a nylon surface. I've put down my material. It could be any shape you want, any gauge you want. And I'm just going to whack this down. And what that does is it work hardens that metal, and it just helps it to keep that shape a little bit better. And it does it the entire surface. So sometimes you'll use a hammer and you have to sort of go over the surface carefully, making sure you get every part of it. This way you just sort of get it in one fell swoop. It's a great, very cheap, but great product to have. And I should mention, a lot of these wire working products that I'm using today are on sale if you go to the Softflix Company website, www.softflixcompany.com. So there should be like a nice big picture right there on the homepage. When you push it or click on it, it'll give you all the details that you need about the sale. So there's 4 little jump rings, and that's what we're going to use to connect onto this guy. So I already had one opening. I'm just going to open this up. Like, these professional pliers are on sale. The Wubbers are on sale. I think the nylon jaw pliers and the wire whackers are on sale. Now, some people use 2 pliers to close jump rings. I don't always. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Okay, so there we've got a nice way to connect some other pieces to it now. So I'm going to go ahead and punch a few more holes so that we can do a couple of things on here. Let's do one there, and let's do one there, and then let's do one over here. And you know, if you're trying to do this for a professional look, you should probably measure between your holes to make sure they're all even and look correct. But we're just sort of playing around today to see, you know, what we can do with these different types of materials, which I would never have thought to put together if it weren't for sweet Nealay Patel and his awesome new book about wire and jewelry fiber. So let me open this guy up. And again, if you have any questions for me or for Nealay, do ask them, even if I don't get a chance to answer them during the live show because I'm busy actually making stuff. I do go back and look at almost every comment, and I do have some of my coworkers on here who can jump in and answer as well. So there's lots of different options, and if Nealay's still here, I'm sure he could answer some of your questions. So feel free to ask away if you have any questions about what I'm doing. And I am going to close that up. So there we've got 4 rings that we can now attach to, which is kind of neat. Kind of like the idea of maybe attaching to something with the 2 rings like that. I don't want it to get like super jump ring oriented though. So let's try making a different shape. Let's try these kind of cool triangle ones. I haven't used these guys a lot, so this is sort of a new experiment for me as well. But let's see what that's like. So I'm going to take my wire again. Again, I'm using the 20 gauge Softflix craft wire. And I'm just going to pull it clean. These guys are priceless. If you do any work with wire, it's just sort of one of those things that you just have to have. You can actually make a shape, like, say I made a shape and I was like, oh, I can't stand this shape. You can just pull the wire clean again and use it. So they just really, like, they're a necessity for your toolbox. Okay, so again, I'm going to trim off my end here, if I can find where I put my cutters in this pile of tools I have. There we go. Trim off my end, and I am not even sure what I'm going to make. So let's start with a loop, because that'll be a good way to, and I'm going to use the larger of the 2 on the smaller plier. That'll be a good way to connect up. And then I kind of like the idea of like one of these big cool triangles. I'm just sort of bending it back using a chain nose plier. so that I can get sort of a better straight, like an eye pin, a better straight connection. I'm thinking about connecting it like this, and then I'm just trying to decide what it is I want to do down here. I think let's just start making a shape and just kind of see what happens. And if we don't like it, we don't have to use it. So I'm just gonna go in like that, which will make kind of a triangle shape. And I can't get in that way. I'm not gonna be able to get in that way. So I want to bend over here. Here we go. Kind of a cool, like if it's just sort of a random shape. And then I like kind of like the idea of it coming up and around maybe. And making something similar that connects on the other side. I hear my daughter outside having fun. Okay, so that's kind of a random shape. Let's try cutting it off and just see what it's like when we connect it. And what's nice about these little triangle guys is I'm getting those really nice angles that can be really kind of hard to get. And then if I were to pay attention to the pattern, I could get just a perfect replica on both sides. Looks like I need to do like one more bend probably this way. And then I can kind of line these up together and twist. And again, I'm just playing around with it. Don't know what I'm making. Haven't made it before. But it's sort of fun just to like get an idea. So I'm just going to do kind of a messy twist here at the top. And then if I wanted to add beads, I most certainly could add beads. Looks like a little boat. And I'm going to want this to go this way if I'm hanging it. Let's see here. I feel like I would want to add some beads down here. I'm not sure how those would lay next to each other exactly. Yeah, this seems like it would just want to hang from one and have some beads. Like I need beads on the bottom to maybe pull it into the fiber cord, so like a pink, like a really pretty pink or red or even black beads would be kind of cool from something like that. And let's see about making just some plain triangles and squares and see how those kind of attach as well. Let's see. Wrap a bead strand around the shape. Yeah, it definitely needs beads. I don't think the wire is good enough. So I'd probably wire wrap some beads at the bottom is what I would do. And let's see. Someone said something about sharp angles, but I'm having a hard time seeing. Yeah, it does create sharp angles, Trish. You're right. So I am going to work on a new shape. See how this goes. And this time let's do a full triangle. And I'm going to go around 1.5 times so that I can. And then let's do the bigger triangle underneath it. See what that's like. And I want to be able to go around that. Can't do it that way. Let's do it this way. There we go. It's kind of nice. You can just kind of keep turning it until you get your desired shape. So it makes kind of a cool looking, I want to go around again, cool looking triangle. And go around here. There we go. Make stuff like this. I don't particularly like how the angles are on that. So let's see if we can do it in a different way. Same type of a deal, but let's do each piece and then wrap them together and see what they look like. I like triangles. Like triangles to me feel like they would work really well with this type of cording. And if you're not familiar with Wubbers, they have like 1,000 videos on their website and probably on YouTube if you just search Wubbers that show you how to use them. There's lots of different options out there. And I'm just literally playing around, and you can kind of get an idea of what they look like. Kristen says to get a really sharp edge, you need to use a hammer on the tool. That's interesting. I don't think I have a nylon tipped hammer somewhere, but I don't think I can quite do that here at my workbench. I don't really mind not having sharp edges. It's more like the way that the tool is placed in order to make my edge. Yeah, I like that. Like if we build these together, like what would that look like with a thinner gauge of wire? Or we could use soft flex too. What would that look like? I like the idea of things sort of dangling from here and maybe connecting by beads. So we could make some jump rings like we did with the round. And let's see if we can make jump rings as easily with these as we did with the round ones. It's a little bit more difficult because it doesn't just go in a circle, but definitely doable to make a few. You have to kind of take it off and put it back on. You can make 2 at a time probably. The way I'm doing it, there probably is a more efficient manner. And I'm going to want to go through and clip this so that those meet up nicely. Kristen said, I recall that tip when the inventor was in the Softflex booth during Tucson. Yeah, Patty Bullard, I think that is her name. She really does some phenomenal stuff with the Wubbers. I've used them, but just generally, I haven't used them a whole lot. But whenever I do, I'm always kind of taken back by how nice they are. Like, they're really nice pliers, you guys. They have a really good weight. They have a really nice long handle, which is great if you do a lot of jewelry making. You never want a handle that's sort of clicking into the palm of your hand, because it can be really uncomfortable over time. So they're a great length, and they just feel really nice and solid. So I definitely like them a lot. I'm going to clip this back on. Yeah, so I think I'm going to kind of play with this some more and put some of these triangles together to hang off of this cording. And I won't keep you guys, watching while I do this, but kind of gives you an idea of where I'm going with this. And I'm going to make another kind of cool design, I think, using this product, which is a fiber cord. So I really thank you guys for joining me today, and I will post pictures of the finished designs later today after I kind of play around a little bit more. Whenever I use something new, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, so it takes a little bit of time to work it all out. But I do want you guys to please check out Nealay Patel's new book, which is Jewelry Made with Wire and Fiber. It's the same kind of fiber cording that I was using today that Nealay sent for me. Nealay really is just such a wonderful guy and a fantastic designer, and just a good friend for me. So I hope you will check out his new book. You can pre-order it from our website, which is www.softflexcompany.com. And I did have one other thing to tell you. Next Thursday I'll be doing another live design challenge, this time with Shipwreck Beads. So please put that on your calendar next Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm really looking forward to spending some time looking at their products. And also next week, Nealay is going to be on Jewel School on JTV. So actually just check your cable listings for JTV. It's on Mondays and Tuesdays, so it'll be April 17th and 18th, I believe. So check him out. He'll have books, but he'll also have lots of other different kits and products and things for you to take a look at. And we have a great sale going on with our wire working tools, our craft wire, and all sorts of things. So check that out on our website, www.softflexcompany.com. And let me fast. Thanks for spending time with me again today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week. Bye.